Hello everyone, this is Ether Dragon, and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. As you can see, we had quite an atrocious time this week in Ether Raids, but the explanation for why is coming up next like usual. So of course this week, given a particular unit is a bonus unit this week, we can merge Plonk our defense, and so our defense loses at most 20 lift, which is basically all our anima defense is good for. I decided to run Legendary Chrom this week to see how people would use Elimine bonus. Fortunately, at least people, used her correctly. This particular player definitely used her correctly. I could alternatively use Elimine on Olivia as well. Doesn't really matter. Either way, Legendary Chrom doesn't get up to special turn 1. And it doesn't really matter that Lift gets +1 special acceleration from Infantry Pulse because it's Lift, so not very much we're going to do there. And well, they have Brave Hector and Flames, so it shouldn't be too difficult of a match for them. They can just sit in camp, and it's just GG. Not like our team can actually do anything here. Sadly, Garen doing a bit of damage, but of course it's never enough damage. She has no way to deal with damage reduction except just doing more damage. So, not great, and of course Brave Hector's sitting on the defense tile, so it's even better for him.
Pierce the sky, Maltet!
Not much of a heal here, but it doesn't really matter because he's taking minimal damage from enemy units here. Brave Hector, not going to take out Brave Eric on one shot, but there's damage reduction, so Brave Hector is going to easily face Brave Eric as Luna and just one run KO. Odor, unfortunately, is just not doing any base damage. Definitely not because of the defense tile, but the damage reduction again for Flame not helping our cause. So now all there's left is Duma and company, which is not really much to say because Legendary Chrom can't really do too well. In fact, Duma does better, so he's going to go first and get absolutely obliterated.
Prepare to die!
This particular Brave Hector is running Ether, which is great if the enemy isn't pecking ways through overhealing like Fatal Smoke, or one of the more newer stats that inflicts deep wounds, but yeah, we're not. It's that kind of thing where it doesn't really matter for the most part. Bringing healing is still generally worthwhile. Been running Brave Veronica on offense for a while. She's definitely been helpful because most of my units are very glass cannon-y, like Legendary Chrom. Speaking of which, that's basically what happened on offense this week. We just played super poorly, kept sacking units unnecessarily, or we just couldn't be bothered to... Once I already goofed, I think it was the second match of the week or something, it was like already kind of a lost cause. A lot of the recurring problems on offense this week was not being able to hit and run. That's my typical strat when I bring Legendary Chrom on offense. Because the problem with him versus Legendary Julia is I really can't use him to hit end turn a lot. He can maybe hit end turn for one combat, but typically he's going to have to engage into multiple combats, at least 2. And especially against mages in his low base res, it's just not a recipe for success. Especially with attack speed push 4 with the recoil damage. Definitely can screw me over plenty. But I decided to try using him this week with attack speed form seal, and I gotta say I didn't really like it. The problem with attack speed form seal is you want to be nearby your allies, and for Legendary Chrom where you're going on a hit and run expedition, you're initially going to be attacking not in range of allies likely, or at best maybe 1. So attack speed forms are pretty bad for that, and well here, they just hit and run, but it's just a simple Ascended Legio and getting danced by Olivia moment, so But I mean, what are we gonna do? Dropping out of Vault this week? Our offense was only scoring plus 183, so we definitely did not have much leeway in terms of lift to lose in the first place. Yeah, we just played horribly first day, and I think after first day we already clinched not being able to stay in Vaults. Unless we had a perfect defense or something, which, given that I'd already lost 20 lift
Be careful.
on the first defense match of the week, yeah, that was not a thing.
A
So
gift for you.
I just did my usual thing of just kind of doing whatever, practicing intuition for coming up with strategies, because one of the things that makes the one team challenge so interesting is that well, besides the fact that you only have that one team, there's a lot of nuances to what that gives you, because if you're given a match where there is theoretically a perfect win, because you're forced into that one team, you only have so many options to choose from. So it kind of in and of itself can make matches easier, because if there is a win, you're probably going to be able to find it. Whereas if you have like 5 teams, like a normal player, it's harder to first of all decide which team you want to use, and then after that, of course, figuring out the win and executing properly. Sometimes I'll find a win and then I just misstep, ruin everything. But Legendary Crom not doing too well there.
Step aside.
Glimmer on Yuri, going to not one-shot Brave Erica because of damage reduction, so to swing in Regan to pick up the kill by a decent margin. But of course, Ashera and Dual Peony are still in range of Ascended Leg Yarn, so that's just going to be an absolute slaughter. 132 damage base. Yeah, that's very well. So looks like they decide to keep going here, barely picking up the kill on Ascended Leg Yarn here. She really is just a ball of stats, but there, minus res mattered. Not that it really would have mattered because they could just play her phase with some other units. I'm guessing Lif was a problem, and they kind of, because I'm pretty sure they should be able to beat Odor with Ashera. Maybe not, who knows, just run the Kelks in the background, but yeah, maybe they just wanted to surrender because they lost units. But yeah, no bonus unit moment. That's pretty much why I want to collect at some point one of every offense mythic, just so we always have an offense mythic. Having every defense mythic is less consequential for us because we already have defense mythics. So it's not like we're stuck with a situation where we have to have a defense that is minus 180. Or not minus 180, that'd be insane. Minus 100 for a complete loss. Once again, Ascended Leg Yarn versus Ascended Fiorm. Same story of Ascended Leg Yarn doubling Ascended Fiorm. And because of that, we got Wings of Mercy. And also, Ascended Fiorm isn't even in range of all of their units, so we can just snipe that down, and we even snipe down Thor here. We don't pick up the one-shots, but we got Deadeye, so there's the kill. Speaking of Thor, the Hero Rises banner is a thing now. It's all green. I'll briefly talk about what I think about it in the next replay. Of course, because of how the voting gauntlet bracket is seeded, or set up, whatever you want to call it, we were guaranteed to have at least 2 green units on the banner, but it just so happened that Harmonize Azura was able to beat Fallen Edelgard, continuing the meme tradition of Edelgard failing to get past round 1 in the Hero Rises for who knows what reason. And legendary male Byleth was able to beat legendary Sigurd. That was the closest matchup out of all of them.
Do not stand in
But
my way.
yeah, that's how it goes, unfortunately for us. Here they do cleverly use Thor to get double Deadeye, but not necessary in that instance. And well, here we're gonna get the usual dance, and again, another unit not in range of their far save unit, so just a free kill for us. And that's all we need to take 0 loss on defense this week, so that's great. But yeah, because Atri lost and Legendary Sigurd lost, I'm not planning on summoning on the banner. There just isn't an incentive for me to, because it would just be to get a bunch of 5-star units essentially. Theoretically, there would be some good outcomes, like for example, getting a +10 Thor would be useful for Ether Raid's offense during Astra season, and also it would help me out during Astra Major. Mjolnir Strike, but that's just a meme. Shouldn't really be building Mythic purely for the sake of Mjolnir Strike. Mjolnir Strike is one of those things where you get stuff as a consequence for investing into other things, not the other way around.
A warrior is owed respect.
As a World Breaker, Thor is able to take out a Brave Erica. And, well, it's just Olivia left, so not much we can do there.
Goddess, please.
And Duo Hilda able to pick up the one fail here. So that's cool. Don't see her too often nowadays. Still the only unit with even recovery, but it doesn't help that she's seasonal. But, yeah. Duo Corin, not really interested. She's definitely quite a strong unit right now. But essentially, her gimmick is having high speed and having a brave weapon and being a mage cav. All of which are great things, but that's literally all it is. It's essentially mobility and stat stick offensively, which, in my opinion, never really ages well. For one, there's just no way to deal with damage reduction, except by doing more damage, which is not my personal favorite strategy for dealing with damage reduction, but that's sometimes what you have to do. We've had instances of pulling those kind of shenanigans off, but speaking of shenanigans, we have Deadeye up, so Julius doesn't have any of his res-based damage reduction, which is a death sentence for him. And so we already take 0 loss lift and the even surrender here, so ta-da! I feel like the recurring theme so far is that people have Elimine and they either use her right or don't use her right. I mean, that's kind of too binary, but it's kind of the same thing with the save units. Quite a few times already people have just baited, but not all their units are in range of the save unit, and so they get sniped down. That's just stuff you can avoid, because against this team there really isn't a rush. You're not getting pressed for space or turns, really. It's really just the ether structure in the top right that would maybe be concerned about. Here they're just going to take out the Brave Erica of Fury, so he can promptly run away. And of course there's Brave Hector there, and then there's the Sunted Armor way over on the other side. Not sure about their positioning, because obviously we all know what's happening next, as Ascended the Young getting danced, and of course Ascended D-Arm is way out in bottom field, right field.
I will burn my regrets.
I know this thing's out in left field, but she's kind of not on the left side of the map. But anyway, thanks to Far Trace, we can move a bit further out. So they're just gonna surrender. That's definitely an unnecessary scenario there. Because this V armor, yeah, is plus 10. He's pretty darn fast. 70 speed at base. When she gets attacked into. That's pretty solid. Still not enough speed for my liking, but that's better than most Ascended V-Arms. So yeah, the name of the game for our defense is hope the opponent sabotages themselves, because honestly this team does not have very good damage output. As you can see, this particular Ascended V-Arm only has base 59 speed, but she is running Distant Defense form, which is a fantastic check to Ascended Leg Yarn, assuming you don't buff yourself too much. Because of course, the problem of Ascended V-Arm is she's reliant on either having field buffs herself, or the enemy having field buffs. Neither of those things are reliable. But even so, Ascended V-Arm unable to kill. Legendary Crom also unable to kill, so no Wings of Mercy coming in. That's just going to be a clean wall. And while Legendary Crom doesn't even Deadeye up, because of course they use Elimine to screw over or turn with Deadeye. So they're just going to hit end turn here. Of course they have Elimine for the damage reduction. They have Thor for the special acceleration from World Breaker, although not entirely necessary.
I cannot fall.
Damage reduction helping out there, but wasn't necessary for them in that particular instance to survive. Doom only doing 3 damage, 10 out of 10. I don't know why we're running Distant Counter Advantage Duma, because it doesn't really do anything, but I guess we're just doing it because there's nothing better to do on Duma. Because Wings of Mercy Duma basically never comes into play, because that would usually just be a steamroll scenario where we were already winning. It doesn't really help us out in instances where we're losing. And here, even if Legendary Crom has Deadeye up, wouldn't have been enough damage, so it doesn't really matter too much. So they're just gonna heal. They do test the trap there. That could have been pretty darn bad if it was real. You know, just max level bolt traps going down, but didn't happen. So Oder gets to survive there. But yeah, it could have been bad if that one was real. Of course, the question is, why would that one ever be real? And the answer, who knows? Long time no see. I mean, it feels like a long time no see, but chances are it's only been a handful of seasons since we've last seen Winter Altina not even running a seal. Great sign. Not sure what to think about that. Kind of feel like if you're going to use a Vantage Strike, you should have as much attack as you can possibly get, but I mean, especially against this kind of team that's more defense bulky rather than bulky, probably want to have an attack stat. Case in point, missed the kill by 2 attack.
Disgrace leaves a brand. And
because of that, that's an oof. And Ascended Leg Yarn's also in Wings of Mercy range, which is not good for them. Now Legendary Crom can go to town, and he has a few juicy targets. Trace comes into play, lets him absolutely obliterate Fallen Edelgard, just like how she lost in Voting Gauntlet. I genuinely actually have no understanding of how they lost, even though they had last hour bonus. Because I was looking at the numbers, and Thor ended up scoring more than Fallen Edelgard last round, even though Thor had the smaller team. Kind of interesting. So it either boils down to people just didn't show up last hour, they just didn't burn their ballots, or they've already burned their ballots in a prior hour, and so they didn't have very much for the last hour. Or who knows? I have no idea. There's no real good explanation for how a larger team on last hour bonus, which people typically save their battle ballots for, proper term. Not entirely sure why they would end up not having those resources, but once again, Ascended Fjorm getting doubled by Ascended Leguarn, and in classic Ascended Fjorm fashion, she misses the kill, and now she is ready to go, except for Olivia potatoing into Seliph, because 5x2, by the way. But here, Legendary Crown finishes the job in absolute overkill fashion. And does his 112. Bit unfortunate we had to drop some units there to get that kill, but I mean, at the end of the day, we only need that one kill to get 0 lift loss, so it's all good. That's kind of the value of having a merge plonk defense like this, is when people goof or sabotage themselves and lose a unit, you're all good to go. And even if you get absolutely steamrolled, you still only lose 20 lift, which in the grand scheme of offense, if you have enough scoring, because you have enough merge mythics or whatnot, it's still be fine. Kind of a deal. Unfortunately, Legendary Seliph getting one-shot by Ascended Leguarn there, so not too great for them there. Brave Erica and Odor trolling. Speaking of Brave Erica, been using her in Summoner duels quite a bit. Finally got to 1600 glory, so I don't have to farm anymore. Although I probably do want to farm a couple of other units up to 1600. Just so when the captain skills shift, I have other options for captain skills, because especially in the days of quick draw, you definitely typically do not want your captain to be your hyper defensive nuke unit that you would typically trade off. So yeah. Here, Lif is going to be outside of 3 spaces away from allies, so no guaranteed follow-up attack, and so no kill for us, but we've already gotten our kills for 0 lift loss, so it doesn't really matter for us. Yuri unable to kill, and that's honestly a common theme with, I've been using Yuri as well in Summoner duels. I mostly use him more for foul play and thus for his offensive power, because he honestly does not have that much offensive power if you don't invest a lot into him. So they decide to just get Regan nuked by Lif, presumably to get him taken out by Plumeria. So there you go. Win with 3 losses, but no ether structures. And well, more far save, but Henriette is definitely not a great far save unit for this against this defense. If you have to deal with Legendary Crom with turn 1 Deadeye, and they don't have Elimine here. They just have Bride Fjorm, who's completely useless against Olivia here. So that's a rip. Their safe defense is going to break from Duma, so it's just going to be straight up initiation wars here. Send Leguarn versus Henriette. You get the charge up Luna, which is fantastic for Leguarn, not so much for Henriette. This is going to do a lot. Not quite a kill, but that's a whopping 3 HP, now 7 because of the weapon. Not going to survive for much longer. Fortunately, she gets to survive for this turn. But there's no real way to deal with Legendary Crom chilling in the back. You can't snipe him down and leave. So they're basically at the mercy of memes. And while Odor here needs to kick off Henriette because they didn't have any near save help for her.
I'm so sorry,
so
Sharena.
that's just the clean kill for Odor. Now you can just casually leave. And Legendary Crom's still sitting in the back. because of that they surrender. But yeah, they don't have any near save here, so kind of a problem. And with that, we actually got pretty lucky this week with timing, to some degree. But it also had to do with the merge plonking thing. So we ended up just losing only 20 lift this week on defense, pretty solid. But yeah, on offense we did so garbage. So no Volts staying in for us. We're probably not even going to get top 6k again because towards the end of the season I was just being nice and sacking a unit to people. So, because I don't really care about rankings and whatnot in this mode until we get enough infrastructure to permanently goofball and stay in Volts while goofballing. That's a ways away, but this upcoming season is going to be interesting. Air bonus is going to be nice for us. Yoon bonus, not so much. And Duo Crom and some save units being bonus. Probably also not good for us. But what are we gonna do about it? We just have to truck through. Already seen Resonant Battles, so nothing to really see there. Legion's Battles, doing alright still. Like, we're scoring 1,058, which is a pretty serviceable score. The top scores are 1,066, of course. So we're not far off from max scoring, but of course we are far off from max scoring because we would have to get an entire new set of units plus 10 maxed out to actually get to that score. So feels bad, but at least we're getting back up to tier 21. And Arena Assault's pretty decent run because our Arena Assault team is scoring like 758 to 768, so we basically guarantee that we can actually get top 1k. But yeah, Arena 3,820 is actually not enough, is not enough, I should say, to make it back up to tier 21. So that's the consequence of some particular units being bonus, cough. But anyways, I think that's it for now, so we'll be back when the results drop in. And alright, I probably dropped it up just outside top 6k again. If I wasn't being nice and sacking kills intentionally, or sacking units intentionally, we'd probably have a few more chairs, but not gonna worry about it too much this week. As long as we don't goof on offense, we'll be okay. Duo Crom on defense is probably going to be a nightmare for Nino if she can't get into vantage range. Not entirely sure what we're gonna do about that. There's also healing towers. There's gonna be plenty of healing going around, which will be nice, but not sure how things are going to go because it's also win season, so you know you got your usual not and legendary sacred teams as well. So not sure. Also not sure if we can even stay in tier 21 this upcoming couple of seasons because we do have Legault at plus 10, of course. We can put a bit more investment into him so he scores a bit better. But at the end of the day, we're up against legendary Sheeta bonus during water shenanigans. So chances are we might not be able to fish for high enough scores. I already calced out we can get like 754 to 768 with Legault if we give him a water blessing, but yeah, it's gonna be pretty rough. Not entirely sure how that's gonna go. But until then, that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. As always, this is Ether Dragon, and hope to see you all next time. Bye!